So what is the difference between digitization, digitalization, and digital transformation? Well, I used to get these mixed up before I started working on projects that involved these three things. And I know that when I talk to people or I see resumes, when I've been involved in recruiting, people do use the wrong term unknowingly. So I'm here today to clear this up. So number one, digitization. So what is this? Digitization in its pure form is the converting of analog signals to digital signals. If I was to give you an example of images, okay? So analog would be an example of a painting produced by an artist with its various colors, textures on the canvas, okay? It's a physical thing. We're capturing the continuous nature of the color on the painting with the variations in light and color, okay? And it's one physical form. Now, if we were to convert this to digital, what we're actually doing is taking that painting and we're building it up bit by bit, okay, into, we're creating actually what's called pixels, as you know. And you know this because when you zoom in on a photo a little bit too much, you can see jagged edges on what looks like a round shape or corner when you zoom out, okay? So what's happening when we convert analog, which is the physical form, to the digital form, we're basically recreating this image in the form of little pixels or boxes, and each box or unit, discrete unit, has one color, okay? So where in a physical or analog painting we see variations of color or a graduation of color that change, in a digital image that will be separate squares of the same color eventually changing color from box to box, okay? So we use data digitization for things like sensor readings, audio recordings, vinyl records, and film reels, which you may have seen before. And we're turning them into the output of structured data in databases, in computers, in spreadsheets, and digital media files. So when we're talking about music and audio, we're creating the digital version of MP3 and MP4, okay, amongst others. So in effect, when we're creating this conversion from analog to digital, we're making data analyzable on the images or the audio or the sensor readings or whatever have you, and we're making it searchable in computer systems, in databases, and basically usable and accessible in a format that's accepted by that computer system, okay? So this is why we're able to have our whole music library on our phones rather than having a huge vinyl record collection, as a lot of us used to do. Of course, there's other forms of digitization, like document digitization, where we take the books, reports, letters, maps, handwritten notes that we have, and we convert that into the digital form by scanning, photographing the physical documents. Basically, the content remains the same, but it becomes digitally accessible. So number two, digitalization. This is where we leverage digitized data that we just talked about, okay, that's stored in systems, it's searchable, it's usable on our devices, and we're applying it to digital technologies, okay, to transform and optimize existing processes that an organization might have, and operations for higher value to the user. Okay, so an example of this would be when we went to flip phones, basic flip phones to smartphones. Okay, so it's not just about making calls with the flip phone. It's about texting people. It's about using the internet, looking at the weather, booking things, using banking on your mobile phone, etc. The key components of digitalization is that, as I said, we take digitized data from the process where we converted to the digital format, which is digitization, okay? We're applying to the digital technologies, which are the tools and platforms that we use the digital data in. We're looking at transforming the processes that are behind how the tasks are performed in the use of this technology, iterative improvements in the product, like the use of new apps or better camera quality, etc. So to look at digitalization in action with some examples, let's look at online food ordering. This is where prior to this, we had to call restaurants for takeaway orders or go and eat at the restaurant. Now, with digitalization, we can use an app like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, etc., where they're in effect using data analytics and machine learning and apps to create menus online that a customer can order off the app itself, and where they can offer real-time tracking and offer personalized recommendations for the food that customer might like based on their past history, reviews from other customers, and integration with the restaurant point of sale systems. Okay, and the benefits here, as we all know, are convenience, the fact that we can order from a number of restaurants at the press of a few buttons on your phone, a better customer experience. So in terms of what these organizations are doing on their platforms, is they're cataloging their products. They've introduced payment processing, social media integration, search engine optimization, or something like Google Analytics to find out what customers' preferences are and what the patterns are, okay? And email marketing information off of software like MailChimp, and certain client relationship management tools as well. And they do this to reach a much wider audience than they otherwise would, okay? They can actually personalize the promotions, which is based on the analytics and the user behavior, which is actually stored in the data, and obviously higher convenience to the customer. So that's the value there, okay? So as I said, these companies are tapping into the customer behaviors and the market trends that they're actually receiving from software and applications that do what's called data visualization, okay? So they can see whether people prefer Thai food over Japanese food or Italian food, etc., or what sort of dishes are favoured in certain suburbs of a particular city or area and with a particular demographic or age, etc. They can look at the sales trends, and also it helps them to handle their inventory. Okay, so what I'm talking about is to make sure that they've got enough stock to fulfill all of the orders that come through. Okay, so they've got some sort of vision as to what they'll need based on the analytics and the spending patterns and the preference patterns of people. So digitalization is not just about adopting new technologies, it's about reimagining and putting out increments of innovation for existing business processes that create value to both the organization and the customer, okay? So that's digitalization. Now, the biggie, digital transformation. So this is a complete and holistic change to an organization, okay? It's affecting the entire business model and processes, the digital technologies driven by what the customer needs, the environment, the external environment, the economy, preferences, in order to stay competitive. So think of it like digitalization, but on steroids, okay? It's not just certain business processes and, some certain technologies that are layered on the top to add value, like digitalization. It is the complete Big Bang approach, all right? So some key characteristics of digital transformation are that we're taking strategy necessity for survival and organization survival and growth. We're taking a culture shift, new mindsets. Agility mindset is one of them, where we have to train ourselves to adapt to a very competitive and fast changing environment. And we're in effect doing an operational overhaul. Okay. Now this operational overhaul has what's called a cross-functional impact. So I'm not talking about just one division or two divisions changing. Okay. We're talking about the entire organization and multiple divisions. We're talking about the interconnectivity between these divisions, how they talk to each other, how a supply chain or process runs from one division to the next. So we're basically disrupting the way that is, because you'll find that in traditional organizations, especially with large growth or fast growth over time, certain divisions have evolved to an extent where it almost feels like a different culture to a former division, okay, or another division that work alongside them, okay. And this is certainly the case in organisations that I've worked for, where if I've applied for a job within that large organisation, my experience as an employee has really depended on where I've landed in that organisation because of the differences in culture, okay? So this is just getting the blank slate and reimagining it. So therefore, it is about that cultural shift, the mindset shift, working together, where we're continuously improving. We're always looking, and every employee is expected to look for improvements in ways of doing things, the way they collaborate with people, not just their own teams, but other teams within the organization. And in effect, they're training themselves in that mindset to adapt and evolve in the digital world, and that's what it's about. So we're basically enabling innovation, okay? So of course it will involve the technology integration with emerging and cutting edge technologies like cloud, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, which is connectivity of different devices with systems, and big data analytics, about preferences and consumer patterns and customer segments and what people are buying, what they like, what they don't like, okay? It's putting that in to enable a customer-centric approach or a better customer experience. So we know how to react to customers when they might not be happy, or we can cater for their needs even before they know they need something, okay? So it's the predictive analytics, and this is where the artificial intelligence comes in as well. In a nutshell, we're looking at all aspects of an organization. As I said, it's a big bang approach, holistic in nature. So we're looking at people, organization, process, information, and technology, everything together. So to put this in a bit of context, to show a real world example, let's think of Amazon, because I think this is a good one, even though it's a very large organization. They have demonstrated all aspects of a digital transformation. So when we're talking about Amazon's digital transformation, we can first look at their business and domain transformation. Okay, so what is that? We're taking the business model, which was initially an online bookstore, and they've evolved into a multifaceted tech giant, which has exemplified remarkable success. So their business model transformation has been about widening their product range. You can pretty much buy anything on Amazon now. Competitive pricing, efficient delivery, okay, which most of us love. They've introduced subscription services like Amazon Prime and Amazon Music, and they've also become a leader in cloud services with AWS or Amazon Web Services, which is probably the largest in the world. So they've in effect become a data-driven culture, where they're accessing the big data and the machine learning that I talked about that enables that predictive analytics to predict customer behaviors, or even look at what they're currently doing, where they can manage the pricing and manage the message of what gets out to people before they buy or as they're looking to buy, the inventory management, etc. And of course, it's all driven by Amazon leadership's principles like customer obsession, okay, and invent and simplify, okay, which is actually encouraging a culture of continuous innovation and risk-taking. So what I'm saying is that they're encouraging everybody who works with Amazon to do this, not just the technical team, as a lot of people would have expected in the past. No, actually, it's all hands on deck doing that, looking and brainstorming for things that might occur to you when you're in the shower, okay? Other transformation initiatives that they've put forward are supply chain innovation, like anticipatory shipping and robotics in the fulfillment centers, right? To actually revolutionize the logistics side. The voice technology we know about, they developed Alexa and Echo devices, establishing themselves as the leader in smart home technology. They've also acquired other companies like Whole Foods to expand their own technology within that domain, within the food industry, to enhance their technological capabilities in a new field. And of course, they've brought about sustainable initiatives like using electric delivery vehicles for their products and food and renewable energy use. So Amazon's ongoing transformation, and it is ongoing, it will probably never stop, underscores the importance of innovation and adaptation in a world where emerging technologies are coming out faster than ever now, especially with artificial intelligence. It really is a good example of how you should undertake a digital transformation. Okay, so just to recap, digitization is converting documents and data to digital format, which gives us digitized data for more accessibility, analyzability, searchability, and security in digital tools and systems, where the key focus is about changing the format, not the processes or business models themselves. Digitalization is about leveraging this digitized data and digital technologies to transform and optimize existing business processes in certain areas of an organization, perhaps incrementally, for better customer experiences. So the key point about digitalization is that we're improving efficiency of existing processes. And lastly, the digital transformation. It's the holistic reimagining of an entire business model and processes through digital and emerging technologies that are driven by the customer needs and the environment, okay, to stay competitive in this fast-changing world. It's company-wide. It reimagines the entire business model, and it demands a complete cultural shift, okay? So digitization often leads to digitalization, which then paves the way for digital transformation, and that is the best way to approach it. So if you enjoyed this video and learnt a bit more, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video and share with your friends, particularly those who you think might benefit from its content. And I'll see you in my next video. So till then, stay informed.